Real business owner, real business owner.
Whatever your situation is currently is not your forever situation.
That's really what real business owners is, man. Like, we don't care where you come from, where are you going?
Our goal and our job is to reduce the mistakes that you have to make or the money that you have to lose.
You want to be an entrepreneur, you want to be successful, don't give up.
You learn, adjust, and continue to move forward.
Welcome back to another episode of Real Business Owners with myself, Trevor Cowley. Hope you guys are having an amazing week. This week's episode is something that I believe everybody will have the ability to benefit from. You know, whether it's family, friends, loved ones, business partners, employees, it doesn't matter who it is. This episode is going to be universal to the species that is a human being. And so I was listening to something the other day, and it was talking about Ray Dalio, which is a billionaire, famous businessman, investor, super successful guy. He's wrote some books that are highly successful as well. And I downloaded this app that tells you about, various different books in, 15 or 20 minutes, kind of goes through these principles. I think it's called Headway, if I'm thinking right. But anyways, on my runs, it's a way for me to kind of get different ideas, get my brain going without being stuck in one mode or one book or, one way of thinking for, a week or whatever it is, however long that book is going to take to finish, right? And so I like to go through things a little bit quicker and digest as much as I possibly can. And Ray Dalio called himself a hyper-realist. And I've called myself a realist before, and some people say, well, you're negative, because I like poking holes in things. And I know our job, as entrepreneurs is to be somewhat delusional, and you'll hear that in some of these, motivational videos. Hey, you got to be delusional. You got to be delusional. In other words, you have to go out into the world and believe something that can happen. In other words, you have to go out in the world and believe that there's something that can happen where you have no visual proof or evidence that that's even a possibility. So in other words, people believe that you have to be delusional in order to be massively successful, because if you take reality as it is today and you look at it and you look at where you're trying to go, those two things don't go together. They don't match. And this situation doesn't look like that there's even a bridge or a way to get from here to get where you want to be, right? And so I understand the delusional part about it, but at the exact same time, I don't believe that it's delusional to think if I put a massive amount of work in and I'm super consistent and I'm disciplined and I surround myself with the right people and have the right resources around me, and as long as I do this long enough, knowing going into it that I'm going to experience pain, heartache, wanting to quit, struggle, stress, and there's going to be a lot of sacrifices on the way. If I go into this knowing all of those things, which will happen, that's not delusion. That's being a hyper-realist. When you're going into business, all of those things will happen. But again, if you stay consistent, you stay persistent, you keep showing up every day with the right resources, with the right attitude and the right mindset, with consistency and discipline, you will get what it is that you say that you want. I don't believe that that is delusional. I believe that that's being a hyper-realist. That's like me saying if I'm terrible at basketball, me ever being good at basketball is impossible. With the skills that I have currently, it doesn't look like I'll ever be good at this thing. But if I put in enough time and effort and consistency and I had discipline and I shot 100 shots a day, every single day in my driveway, eventually I will get better. Am I saying that I'm going to be the greatest of all time? I'm not saying that. You're not in business to become the richest person on the planet either. You started a business because you wanted financial security. You don't have to be the richest person on the planet in order to have financial security. You don't have to be the best basketball player in the world if you start over here as a terrible basketball player, just want to get better and increase your skills. And the longer that you do it and the more reps that you get, the better that you're going to be at basketball. That's just facts. So is it delusion to believe that somebody that's terrible at something right now with enough time and effort and energy and reps could eventually be good at it? No. That's being a realist. Another word I believe for being a realist is honesty or truth. What's weird to me is I was thinking about it today as I was doing one of my workouts is Okay, if somebody is trying to do something extremely difficult and challenge themselves, like let's say, for instance, you're not a runner and you want to go run a marathon. Is it delusional to believe that that's going to be difficult? Or is it just you being a realist? Are you being honest about what you're trying to accomplish and saying, if I go attempt this and do something that I've never done before, that's going to be extremely hard. That's just the truth. You're being honest. In other words, you're being a realist. So for me, I look at it like this. You go into a challenge like running a marathon knowing it's going to be difficult. So when difficulty knocks at your door and you wake up and you don't want to do the training, but the marathon's a month out or 2 months out or whatever it is, you're going to get up and do it anyways, because when you committed to doing a marathon, you knew it was going to be extremely difficult. And you knew you were going to find days like this where you didn't want to get out of bed or didn't want to move your body and didn't want to make the sacrifices in order to accomplish the goal. But because you were a realist going into it and you were being honest with yourself and knew that there were going to be days like this, when you meet the days that you don't want to do it, you're not surprised by it. But when we go into business and it's a year or 2 years or 3 or 5, and we're not receiving the result that we want, we've created an expectation that a business should produce. And if it's not producing that expectation, you end up in frustration. Frustration leads to resentment. Resentment will eventually make you feel hopeless. If you're resenting the very thing that you're showing up and doing every single day, you're like, well, what's it all for? You're losing hope. And when you're losing hope, you're more likely to make bad decisions. If you wake up and hate the thing that you do every single day, you're going to look for things that will create immediate gratification that usually don't connect with your long-term goals. Because if you can get immediate gratification, usually you're taking from your future self so that you could have right now. And when you give right now, what you're doing is you're giving to your future self. So in other words, when you go through pain or discomfort and you're making a sacrifice today, your future self is going to benefit from it. When you're not making sacrifices and you're working off immediate gratification, what you're doing is you're taking from your future self. I want that feeling right now. And so I want you to understand that business is no different than the scenario of me saying, hey, I'm going to go challenge myself and run a marathon, but it's going to be difficult. I know it's going to be hard. That's why I wanted to do it. I knew it was going to be a challenge going into it. So when the challenge knocks on your door, you're not surprised. You were expecting it. Guess what? You should expect that as a business owner. The problem is you have improper expectations, which is creating the frustrations that you're currently experiencing. Potentially, you're experiencing resentment at this point. If you're past the frustration phase, you're in the resentment phase of your business, and the next phase is where you start feeling hopeless and you want to quit and give up. And that's a very dangerous place to be as an entrepreneur. Why are you there? Because you're experiencing something that you didn't think that you would experience. Now, let me ask you, is that you being honest with yourself? Are you telling the truth about what you should have expected versus what you're receiving? Going into business and starting a business is the truth that you're going to have to experience a lot of pain, a lot of heartache, make a lot of sacrifices, that you're going to want to quit and give up along the way. Is that the truth? And the answer is yes. But when you start experiencing the pain or the heartache, or you're making the sacrifice and you're going through the struggle, all of a sudden your perspective goes from wide to just the problems that you're dealing with, and you forget why you started. So what I'm doing here is I'm telling you, you need to become a hyper realist. It's not delusion to believe that you can become extremely successful. It's not delusional to believe that you can become extremely fit. It's not delusional for you to believe that you could change the version of you that you are today. That is you being a realist. Now, what's delusional is if you believe that you could change these things without you changing yourself or changing your actions or changing your habits. For things to change, you will have to change. And that's the whole point of this show, this podcast. This exact episode is for me to help you change your perspective. Why can we go into the challenge of running a marathon and believe that it's going to be difficult and be okay with the challenges along the way? But when we start a business and we come across difficulty, that we want to quit and give up. We knew we were going to be challenged going into business. We knew we were going into uncharted territories. We knew that there was going to be sacrifices. We knew that we were going to go through struggles. But all of a sudden, when we're going through the struggles, now all of a sudden we become disoriented. Become more real. Become more honest with yourself. Are you going through anything unique or different outside of any other business owner? The answer is no. And if you're feeling sorry for yourself, you're hurting yourself, you're hurting your family, and you're hurting your future. That has no place on the path to success. The energy that you're wasting feeling sorry for yourself is just that. It's a waste. We only have so many units of energy to give every single day. Are we focusing the energy that we have on creating solutions, utilizing our resources, advancing our position, creating a better version of ourselves? Or are we using the energy that we have to complain, to seek out problems, to get frustrated, to stay frustrated, to focus on the struggle rather than the solution? Understand, being a hyper-realist serves you. If you're going to lose 100 pounds, you have to say, this is going to be extremely difficult. I know that, and I'm willing to do what it takes. That's being real. That's not delusional. You know you're going to have to go through something extreme for an extreme result. What's also real is if you start a business, you're going to go through some extreme trials. You're going to want to quit. That's why it's so important to develop yourself as an individual so that you could see things on the right side of the coin. That's why it's so important to surround yourself with people and resources that have your back, that lift you up when you feel like that you want to quit. Constant reminders that it is possible. I'm a big believer in self-improvement. I'm a big believer in masterminds. I'm a big believer in utilizing your resources in a way that not only serves you, but because you're now a better version of yourself, you have the ability to show up, and the people that were your resources when you need them, now you're available to them when they need you. You're a better version for them because they were there for you when you were at your lowest. This episode is about being real, being honest, telling the truth. Extreme results equal extreme difficulty, extreme struggle, extreme sacrifice, extreme discipline. You can't have extreme positive results without some of these extreme sacrifices that you have to make. Right now, all you're doing is going through the sacrifice period. That's it. Whether it's the sacrifice period of losing weight, whether it's the sacrifice period of building a business, whether it's the sacrifice period of not going out with the old friends that you used to hang out. There is a sacrifice period if you want more. And when we're going through the sacrifice period, we lose sight of why we started. The majority of people default back to the old version of them and never make progress. They settle in for the rest of their life. And maybe you listening to this have settled in. Maybe you're in your mid-30s, mid-40s, late 20s, and you're like, damn, the way I'm doing it's not working. So be honest with yourself. Tell the truth. Become a hyper-realist. Utilize the data and the information that you have available to you. The way that you're doing it isn't working, so you have to change. And if you change, will it be hard? If you're being real about it, if you're telling the truth, will it be hard? The answer is yes. So expect that going into it so that when hard shows up at your door and you're in the middle of the struggle, you're not surprised by it. You're not taken out by it. You will struggle and have many seasons of pain and trials. I promise you that. That is guaranteed. But if you start changing your perspective to see pain as progress, your life changes. Ever since we were little, we're told to avoid pain, that pain is bad. What if you reframed pain and struggle as progress? So when you're going through it, you can have the perspective, well, this is a good thing. When I pop out on the other side of this, I'm going to have a better result, which makes you want to keep showing up every single day. You're willing to go through that because you believe that there's a certain exchange that's being made, and you're just in the sacrifice period of your exchange right now. And on the other side of that, you will receive the gain equal to the sacrifice that you made. That's how it works. That's what I've seen for myself, whether it's in business, whether it's in fitness. It doesn't matter what it is. You have to dedicate time, energy, effort, consistency, all of these things are the ingredients for the success that you're looking for. Don't get frustrated with yourself with the lack of results that you're currently experiencing. You're still in the sacrifice period. You're still in the struggle period. You're still in the growth period. The question is, do you have resources? If you're telling the truth, look around. What's the average income of the individual you hang out with? What's the average conversation that you have with the average person that you hang out with? What are they talking about? What are their goals? What are they trying to accomplish? Are they positive? Do they complain a lot? You can't expect a positive result out of a negative environment. In some cases, you have to remove yourself completely from everything that you've ever known and seclude yourself for a period of time and put yourself on an island so that you're controlling everything that goes into your brain. And you start brainwashing yourself through positive information. And then you change the way you think and you change the way that you act. And when you change the way you think and the way that you act, your beliefs about you start changing. You think that you can accomplish more. You expand. And when you expand you, everything around you expands. The possibilities expand. That's the truth. That's being a hyper-realist. Is it delusional to believe that you could see massive success? No, it's not. I don't believe that. I think being a hyper-realist says, well, if I wanted to receive massive success, what would I have to go through to get there? And understand when you're on the journey to massive success, as you're dealing with your pitfalls and you're going through your trials, don't be surprised by it because you knew that was going to be part of the process. You were real with yourself going into it. You knew that. Now you're experiencing it. Don't forget why you started. Keep moving forward. I promise you, it's possible. I hope this episode hit home. I hope this episode found the person that it needed to find. I hope you change the way you think, the way you act, who you hang out with, the resources that you have available to you. And if you're ready to do that and level up personally or professionally, go to joinrbo.com. As always, much love to you. Keep kicking ass. We'll see you next week.